Good morning, Chaverim. We have reached another milestone. Daf Ayin. We've done 70 pages. 70 pages of Gemara. That means we've done 140 days of Masechet Pessachim. Amazing. We're now in the Mishnah. And now we've passed over it's 120 pages. So we're well over the halfway part. We're going downhill, Bezrat Hashem, to get to the finish line. Nishmat. Esther bat Mesuda. Niftara kayom hazeh. Okay, we're going to go to Daf Samechet Amoud Bet at the Mishnah. We're going to repeat the Mishnah which we said yesterday. If I had the right Masechet, it would help. This is Masechet Shabbat. Is there? Thank you. Here, you want to take a floppy? Okay, Samechet Amoud Bet at the Mishnah. Just to remind you, there are 3 korbanot that you need to bring every Chag, independent of Korban Pesach. New subject. And there's a 5th one on Pesach sometimes. So let's say, on Erev Pesach, the 14th of Nisan, you of course need to bring Korban Pesach. When you do the Seder you said the Seder at your home, you're going to say Zecher the Korban Pesach. When you're going to eat the Korech, when you're going to look at the shank bone, you're going to think Zecher. When you eat the Afikoman, what is the Afikoman? You're eating an extra piece of matzah. It's Zecher of the Korban Pesach. On Pesach, you should be eating matzah, Torah law, Torah mitzvah. You should be eating maror, Torah law. Today it's the Rabbanan. And you have to eat at the end the kazait of meat, which is the Korban Pesach. The fact that we eat another piece of matzah at the end is just to remind you that now you should actually be eating Korban Pesach, which is called the Afikuman. Man is dessert, Afiku is take out the dessert. The dessert of the night of Pesach was the Korban Pesach, a kazait of roasted lamb. That's on the 14th. Something else you should be bringing depends on the year. We're going to see now in our Mishnah, which we spoke about yesterday, is an extra Chagigat Arba Esrei. There's an extra Chagigat which is brought on the 14th, and it depends. It's only brought to make sure that you will be eating enough food on the night of Pesach. It's a Chagigat. It's for the Chag. It's a shlamim. It's a korban. It's a korban that you're going to bring. It's all types of animals, and it's basically because the korban Pesach needs to be nechan al hasova. Needs to be eaten. You need to be satisfied. When you come to a king's table, when you come to a good wedding, when you come to a good suit, when you come to a good hilula, you ate well. Sometimes you go there, it's not enough people, not enough food, it's going around, then you put a lot, you leave, you're still hungry, right? But if you came to a place, on a bien manger, the Korban Pesach needs to be on a bien manger. What is on bien manger? Nechan ala sova. But the thing is, what if there's a lot of people on Korban Pesach? There's 50 people signed up for this Korban. Everybody's getting a kazait. We're not going to eat well. So we bring another Korban that you'll eat before, you're going to shecht it on the 14th. It's a Korban, it's a shlamim. You're going to shecht it on the 14th, and you're going to eat it before the Korban Pesach to be able to be full. That means that to be able to, when you eat the Korban Pesach, you're just getting another little piece of meat, and you're good. That's the Korban Chagiga. That's the shlamim of the 14th. Now, don't forget that there's something else which is on the Chag itself. There is 3 korbanot you have to bring. One is a re'iyah. It's a korban you bring. You got to show your face in the Beit Mikdash. Show up, and you bring a korban re'iyah. You got to bring that anytime during the 7 days of Pesach. You got to bring a korban the chagigat simcha and a shlamim, I think. You got to be three korbanot over there. If there's a blue book, I'll check it out. There's a blue Dirshu over there. Thank you. I'll read to you what it says over here. Listen. Shalosh korbanot chovat shel Yisrael lakri b'shlosha regelim. Olat re'iyah. First one I told you. Shalmei chagiga, which is called chagigat chamishasar. So you got to bring on the 15th a chagiga as well. And you got to bring shalmei simcha. Okay? So the re'iyah, chagigat chamishasar, and shalmei simcha. Besides that, on the 14th, there was one korban Pesach, and maybe a second one, which was the korban we're talking about now. So now we're in the Mishnah. Ematai mevi chagiga imo. So we're talking about the 14th of Nisan. You bring your korban Pesach, the Mishnah. Moshe, you want to follow with us? Show him where it is. Huh? Yeah? We'll give you a big one. At the Mishnah. Show me where the Mishnah is. No, it's just in the middle, not the side. The big line, the big words in the middle. You see? Okay? Number one, this extra chagiga you cannot bring on Shabbos. You got to bring it only in the weekday. It does not put off Shabbat. It's not, the Korban Pesach pushes off Shabbat. This one doesn't push off Shabbat. Betara. You have to bring it if you're in a state of purity. The Korban Pesach, we said, if you're impure, the whole community can bring it, the Korban Pesach. And ubimu'at, when there's not a lot of food for everybody. Ubizman shuba b'Shabbat, but on Shabbat you cannot bring this extra chagiga. B'miruba, when there's a lot of food to go around, you're not allowed to bring it. Ubituma, when the community is tameh, you're not allowed to bring it. And mivin imo chagiga, you cannot bring the chagiga. So just to be clear, the Korban Pesach pushes off Shabbat. The Korban Pesach pushes off, if the community is in a state of impurity, it pushes it off. You bring it. And the Korban Pesach, you bring it whether there's a lot of people or not a lot of people, you bring it. However, this extra Korban Chagiga, you only bring it if it's not Shabbat, if everybody's pure, and if there's not a lot of food. If there's a lot of food, then don't bring it. Chagiga haita ba minat tzon. Also, you're allowed to bring it from tzon, smaller animals. Mina bakar, bigger animals. Mina kibasim, sheep. Mina izim, goats. Mina zecharim, you're also to bring in male. Umina kevot, female. Mina chered shtei yamim v'lain echad. You can eat it 2 nights in 1 day. That means you can shecht it on the 14th, that's 1 day. You're going to eat it the next day. Shtei yamim, the next 2 days and 1 night. 2 days and 1 night. So that means the 14th. Then it's not, you don't really eat it on the 14th, you eat it at night, but you shecht it in the day. It can be eaten the night and the whole next day. But the Korban Pesach cannot be eaten the whole next day. Korban Pesach is till Chatzot. That's why you try to eat dafikuman till Chatzot. Because the Korban Pesach needs to be eaten until Chatzot. You read it every day in the Mishnayot before Hodu. You read it over there. So the Korban Pesach, so here it's a little bit more lenient. It can be brought by female, male, all kinds of different animals, and it can be brought all the way the next day. Because it's nothing to just make you full. That's Shizah Chamim. My Tana, the Katani Chagiga. So the Gemara is asking, how did we get here? We're talking about Korban Pesach, and you're talking about Korban Chagiga. Where did we get, why are you introducing this halacha in the middle of our Masechet over here? The Gemara says, Tana Archavato Ve'avato. Because in the last Mishnah, we spoke about carrying the Korban Pesach. Carrying the Korban Pesach, we said you can shecht the Korban Pesach, right? The Korban Pesach that is a mitzvah d'oraita, you're allowed to shecht it on the day of Pesach. But you cannot carry it. You cannot do isur d'Rabbanan. You can do anything that's needed to shecht it, but if you forgot to bring your Korban Pesach, you cannot bring it from across the street to bring it in because you're carrying the Korban Pesach. You can't carry. You can do anything you need to do the day of, but anything you could have done yesterday, you're not allowed to do today. So since we put a prohibition on the Korban Pesach, and that's what we spoke about last time, anything which is the Rabbanan, so we spoke about our Mishnah as well. So that's what we spoke about this here, that this chagiga, this extra korban to make sure you're full, is not pushing off Shabbos. You can't bring it on Shabbos. So there we spoke about restrictions in our last Mishnah, so here we're speaking about restrictions as well. So really we wanted to tell you the restrictions. So we tell you about the whole mitzvah itself. There's restriction Korban Pesach, there's restriction on this extra chagiga. Amar Rabbi Ashi, Shma mina chagigat arba'asar lav chova. From here we see that this chagiga is not an obligation. Disan kadatcha chova, because if you would have thought that's an obligation, we just got the daf ayin. Titi b'Shabbat, v'titi b'miruba, v'titi b'tuma. Bring it whether it's Shabbat, like whether there's a lot of food to go around or not, and bring it also if it's state impurity. The Korban Pesach pushes off Shabbat, it pushes off impurity. You bring it no matter what. If you're a lot of people, a little bit of people. So this one, since it doesn't have that, we see it's not an obligation. Some say it's a doraita, some say the Rabbanan, but for sure it's not a chovah. If a person didn't bring this korban, he didn't do any issur. Okay, so now the question is, when there's not a lot of food on your Korban Pesach, why are you bringing this extra chagiga? And like I told you before, chagigat habayim Pesach nechelet tchila. The Braita tells us, you bring this, you eat it first. Kedeshe Pesach nechal alasova. So that you eat it in a state of satisfaction, you are full. So Korban Pesach you got to bring no matter what. And this chagiga, it's just to make sure that you're accomplishing the Korban Pesach in the best way, which is to eat it full. If everybody's getting a little kazait, you're not going to be full, so we bring an extra korban. But if it's Shabbat, well, we don't push off Shabbat for this. This is just to get a bigger satisfaction with your Korban Pesach. But on Shabbat, too bad, you got 50 people over here, you get a small piece of meat, fill up with matzah. What are you going to do? Eat charoset, eat something else. But we're not going to give you meat. So that's what you see over here, that this extra Korban is not an obligation. The Gemara says, and like we said, Korban Pesach can be eaten only to the night. This Korban can be eaten even the next day. You know, we read every bit about Ben Tema. Yudam Ben Tema Omer. So here we're talking about Ben Tema. It seems to be it's Yudam Ben Tema. So Ben Tema says, Tanya, our Mishnah is not like Ben Tema. You know why? Because Ben Tema says, Omer, Chagiga Ba'ima Pesach, Arehu Ke Pesach. The Chagiga that's coming with Pesach is the same as Pesach. What does that mean? You can only eat it that night of. You cannot eat it the next day. Korban Pesach, you need only the night. So Ben Tema says this extra Chagiga can only be eaten at night as well. So our Mishnah is not Ben Tema. Our Mishnah is Chachamim. Whoever wrote the Mishnah, he doesn't agree with Ben Tema. There's differences in opinion in the Mishnah, in the Tanaim. The Chagigat Chamishasar Nechedet Shtei Yamim. Now, like I told you, that on the 15th of Nisan you got to bring a Chagiga. So the 14th you're bringing a korban, and the 15th you're also bringing korban. That's called the korban chagiga shlamim. Like we said before, nothing to do with the korban pesach. That can be eaten for 2 days. So when you on the 14th you brought your korban pesach, you brought your extra one to be full, and the next day you bring in another korban. That can be eaten for 2 days. That's fine. The chagigat arba'esar, and this extra one that we're bringing the 14th, yotzeh ba mishum simcha. So imagine that you had your korban pesach, you designated this extra one, and you didn't end up bringing this extra one for whatever reason, because you thought you had a lot of people, you didn't have a lot of people, we didn't bring it. So you can use it the next day for the korban, for your korban that you have to bring the next day for the mishum simcha. The next day you're going to bring a korban simcha, you're allowed to bring it. Ven yotzim mishum chagiga. Now just to be clear, like I told you, on the day of Pesach itself, the 15th, you got to bring a re'iyah, you got to bring simcha, and you got to bring a chagiga. So the simcha is not so strict. You can bring the leftover extra korban on the 14th for the simcha, but you cannot bring it for the chagiga. And the reason is, my tama de ben tema, okay, that's a whole nother sugya, but the question is, why does ben tema give me an extra day? My tama de ben, why does ben tema say you can only eat it for one night? My tama de ben tema, kedemasnisin ravchia bere, lo yalin na boker zebach chag ha-pesach. Please look at the pasuk in Torah Or Aleph. Lo tishrat al chametz. We're talking about the korban pesach. You cannot shecht it when you still own chametz. Dam zivchi velo yalin naboker zevach chag ha-pesach. Who said that the korban pesach cannot be eaten the next day? Got to eat it at night. The pasuk says lo yalin naboker. You cannot leave overnight your korban pesach, but it says zevach chag ha-pesach. It doesn't say korban pesach. It says zevach chag ha-pesach. What is that word? Zevach chag ha-pesach. Zevach chag ze chagiga. Zevach chag is the chagiga that you bring on the 14th of the night. That's how Ben Tema learns it. Ha-pesach kemashma'o. And the pesach is regular. V'amar rachmana lo yanin. The pasuk says lo yanin. So just to be clear, it's very clear to us that the korban pesach needs to be eaten the night of. Can't be eaten the next day. You're gonna finish it up at night. What about this extra korban, which is called the Chagiga of the 14th? Well, Ben Tema says, if you look well at the pasuk that says don't leave the korban pesach in the morning, it says Zevach Chag HaPesach. It could have just said don't leave over the Pesach. It says Zevach Chag. Zevach Chag is that extra korban. So according to Ben Tema, there is a hekesh. There's a connection between the Pesach and the extra korban that we bring. The Gemara asks, Ibaenu, the Ben Tema necheret sni or en necheret sni? Okay, now you connected the two. Do you connect it fully or do you connect it partially? In the Korban Pesach, there's a lot of hanachot. One hanachah is the Korban Pesach cannot be cooked in water. It needs to be roasted. That's why on the night of Pesach, you don't eat roasted meat. You don't need a roast. You gotta make sure that the lamb you're eating is cooked in water. You don't need a barbecued lamb. Why not? Because that's exactly the Korban Pesach. And if you're eating that on the night of Pesach, it looks like you're eating Korban outside the Beit HaMikdash, and that's asur. So what do is you eat, so the korban pesach needs to be roasted. Now this extra korban, it's a whole different korban, right? But you need to, now bentema, you're connecting them the two with the pasuk. So the korban pesach can't be left over to the next day, so this extra shlamim can't be left over the next day. Well, are you connecting them for all the anachot? That even the way the korban pesach needs to be roasted, this extra one needs to be roasted, or can I eat this one cooked in water? Or can I eat it cooked in water? Ki aksher chamana de pesach lenina. And maybe the way we're going to do is that we connected them only in terms of leaving them over to the next morning. But when it comes to roasting them, no need. Or maybe everything, we connected it completely. Tashma, we have a braita. Halayla ze kulot sli. We have a braita that says, this night is kulot sli. Halayla ze kulot sli. We don't say that, but there's an opinion that says that. Who says that? That's Bentema. V'amar Rav Chisda, zo divrei Bentema. Everything needs to be roasted. That means the korban pesach roasted, and the extra shlamim also roasted sli on the fire. Shma mina. So we see that Bentema is connecting it in all purposes. The Gemara says, Ibayenu, the Bentema, ba min akar, when a ba min makar. Ba min nekavot, when a ba min nekavot. Ba min shte shanim, when a ba eda shte shanim. So again, now we have the question. Our Mishnah said this extra korban that you're bringing, you could bring it from male, female, big animal, small animal, but the korban pesach can only be a sheep. It can only be a female sheep. It can't be a nez. It can't be a goat. So the extra number they bring, do we have to bring it also the same? It has to be also a female sheep. Ki eksher rachamana de pesach. When we connected it with that pasuk, nimide dachila. When we just connected it for in terms of not going to the next morning, but in terms of what you're eating and how you're eating, maybe it's allowed. Loshna tashma chagigat haba im pesach arihi kepesach haba min hatzon ven haba min habakar ba min hazechrim ven haba min hanekevot ba bat shnata ven haba bat shne shtanim ven necheret ela liyom velayla. So we're saying it has to be, here's a bright that says it has to be a sheep. It can't be from a big animal. It has to be male. It has to be male. The korban pesach has to be male, not female. My mistake. It has to be male, can't be female. It has to be 1 year. The korban pesach has to be a 1-year-old animal. It can't be 2 years old. All these things, and then it said also over here that it cannot be eaten the next day. It has to be eaten the night of. Only for the people counted on it. Man shemat mineh de'ile hay svara bentema shma mina. So we see that over here there's one variable that we know it's bentema. It's the amount of time they're allowed to eat it, which is only that night of. So since in this bright that says only the night of, and you told me all the other achot that has to be exactly the same as the korban pesach, so we see from here that bentema says it needs to be exactly like the korban pesach. Kulu milta minan shma mina. So from here we learned, and in fact it's true. Just recap that we do what we learned till now before we start the next thing, which need to think a little bit more. This is pretty easy what we did till now. And what did we say? Erev Pesach, you bring a korban Pesach. That's for sure. Everybody means it. If it happens to be on the weekday, and you are pure, and you have a lot of people on your korban, and you're going to be getting a small piece of meat, you bring an extra korban, which is called Chagigat Yudalid. It's a Chagiga on the 14th. So far so good. Chachamim say, that has nothing to do with korban Pesach. That's its own thing. Korban Pesach, you got to eat it till the night. You got to have a certain type of animal. It's only a male sheep, 1-year-old, and you got to be roasted. That's Korban Pesach. But this extra one to give you a full belly, that could be brought from any type of animal that's kosher for the Mizbeach. It could be eaten the whole next day, and you could cook it in water if you want. You eat it whatever you want. That is Chachamim. Bentema says no. Bentema uses a pasuk says, Lo yalin zevach Chag HaPesach. So we know that the Chag HaPesach can be left over to the next day, but the word Zevach Chag for Bentema means also the extra one you bring on the 14th, and therefore he learns it out for all the halachot. So this extra animal for Bentema needs to be the exact same as the Korban Pesach. So far, so good. Here's a new question. Ibayenu lebentema yesh ba mishum shvirat etzem or en ba mishum shvirat etzem. There's another halakha of Korban Pesach that you can't break the bone. Breaking the bone of a Korban Pesach is a mitzvat lo ta'aseh. If a guy is eating his Korban Pesach and breaks the bone, why did somebody break the bone, by the way? To suck out the last little pieces, the last juice. You want the muad inside. Namuad, right? What is that stuff? That's fat? What is that?
Yeah. Bone marrow.
Bone marrow, it's good? It's tasty?
Yeah.
Huh?
Moroccans love it.
Yeah, I can't eat that stuff. I can't go inside the bone and start sucking the bone. But you know what? The Korban Pesach, you're not allowed to do that. You know why? Because it's a time of freedom. All the halachot of Korban Pesach is to show your freedom and your wealth. You just left Mitzrayim. You were slaves. A slave, you better believe me. You know that the Ashkenazim serve a chicken soup on Shabbos. You know that? My wife, every week, she wants to make this chicken soup. Me, I don't like chicken soup. The Ashkenazim that chicken soup. I told her why. I said, you guys didn't have food. So you had to get everything you can from the chicken. Serve the chicken and make a soup out of the chicken. And but where there was a lot of food and vegetables and spices and everything, they wouldn't give a soup, right? Maybe it was cold there. I'm exaggerating. People really like that chicken soup. Everybody has their mina. But even when you have they live in cold places that have the soup. We live in hot places, we don't have a soup. But either way, the Korban Pesach, if a guy's trying to save money and he has a big family to feed and he's tight and he's on a budget, what is he going to do? He's going to cook it. He's going to roast it. He's going to cook it in water to get every drop. And he's going to use it. And he's also going to have the water. He's going to have the soup. He's going to have everything. He's going to use everything. And he's going to even break the bone to get the last pieces. You can be sure that a guy in Chas v'Shalom in Auschwitz or in the tunnels, every little piece of food that they're able to get off, they're going to get off. But a rich person, he's going to roast it. I don't care if I'm going to lose out. I want it to taste better. You think I'm going to break a bone? I'm not breaking a bone. Leave it for the servants. Give it to the dogs. I'm going to give myself a whole new one. So we're doing everything to impress upon you the status that you have, that you're son of a king. So you're not allowed to break the bone of the Korban Pesach. Now my question is, what do we do with the extra Chagigah? Are you also not allowed to break the bone? Because a regular Korban, you're allowed to break the bone. Korban Pesach, you're not allowed to break the bone. So the extra Chagigah, for Ben Tema, for Chachamim, for sure there's no problem. Because for Chachamim, this extra Korban has nothing to do with Korban Pesach. It just makes sure you're going to eat in a satisfying way. For Ben Tema, are you allowed to break that bone? That's the question. So here's what the Gemara says. Ibairu, the Ben Tema, yesh bo shvirat etzem, or en bo shvirat etzem. Afar gav, and here's how we learn it. Or en bo shvirat etzem. Afar gav diki kshe rachman, even though we saw that there's a hekesh, and the Torah connects them according to Ben Tema, Rachamana de Pesach, Damakra, even though there's a kesher, maybe here there's an exception. Amakra bo. Let's read the pasuk bet. It'll b'bayit echad yached. Korban Pesach needs to be eaten in one house. Lo totzi min habayit min habasar. You can't start going out to the neighbor's house with the meat. Sit down and eat it in your chabur. Ve'etzem lo tishberu. What does it say? Bo. Etzem lo tishberu. What is that bo? That bo is diminishing. That bo is a mute. From here we see the Torah could have said etzem lo tishberu. What's lo tishberu bo? That is coming to say this you're not allowed to break, something else you're allowed to break. Don't break this. What do you mean this? That means something else I'm allowed. So what is that bo? So maybe the bo means you're not allowed to break, even though there's a connection between the Chagigah, the 14th, and there is another Korban Pesach, and there's a connection between the two. Yeah, but this you can't break because the pasuk says bo, and this one you're allowed to break. So even according to Ben Tema, you could break the bone of the extra Chagigah. Velo b'Chagigah or dinma bo b'kasher velo b'pasum. You know, if the guy breaks the bone, he didn't Isur Doraita. And what happens if he did Isur Doraita? He gets makot. So maybe the word bone means you can't break the bone of a kosher Korban Pesach. But if it wasn't a kosher Korban Pesach, then you can break the bone. In other words, yeah, you designated your Korban Pesach on the 14th. Something happened, it's not kosher. You shechted it. You want to break the bone, you can break the bone. Because the pasuk says, don't break the bone of the kosher Korban Pesach. But that would mean that the other one, you can't break the bone. So what do we want to do? For Ben Tema, question. Can we break the bone for extra Chagigah or we can't? Be clear. For Chachamim, we're allowed to break the bone for sure. For Chachamim, there's no Korban Pesach and Chagigah. Got you with me? There's no kesher. So break the bone, do whatever you want. Ben Tema, there is a kesher. But how much is the kesher? Do we compare them for everything except the bone or even the bone? That's our question. So far so good? So the Gemara wants to answer it from another Braita. Tashma. Sakin shinimtzet ba'arbasa. You're in Jerusalem, it's the 14th, you find a knife there on the floor. Are you allowed to use that knife to shecht your animal? What's the problem? You see, you check it, the knife could very well be not tameh. You know, of course, that when you're in the Beit HaMikdash, you got to be careful that all the utensils are pure. So if you're finding in the vicinity of Jerusalem on the 14th of Nisan a knife, you're allowed to use it on that day to shecht your korban Pesach. Shnimtzed ba'abasar shochet ba'miyad. That day you can shecht it. You know why? Rashi explains. Because we're assuming if the guy was a tameh, the guy had a keri, the lady was a nida, and she touches the knife, she makes a tameh. In the time of the Beit Mikdash, we're gonna pay a lot of attention to all this stuff. Today we don't even think about it. Your tameh, your nida, your zav, you had a yuledet, you had a baby, you're working Chavra Kidisha, you're a doctor. Don't touch the keli, don't the knife. We need it tomorrow for Korban Pesach. So if you touch the knife, you made a tameh. If you find the knife unsupervised in Jerusalem, what do we assume? We assume that anybody who brought it, if it was tameh, he put it in the mikveh. He put it in the mikveh yesterday, and for sure it's allowed to be used today. And I'll explain. A knife that is tameh, you want to make it pure to use it, to not impurify the korbanot, you got to put it in the mikveh. There are two requirements, mikveh and waiting to the end of the night, erev shemesh. So I can put it in the mikveh this morning at 8:30, what time is it now, 9:05, I can put it in the mikveh, but I'll have to wait till tonight to use it at Tzedek Kohabim. Only tonight at 5:05 I can use the knife, okay? So if I'm finding it there on the 14th, somebody dropped it, do I assume the guys know the halachot? They know that they're going to need it for the 14th. They know that they need to use this knife today on the 14th, so for sure they put in the mikveh the day before. So if I find any knife, it's very clear and understandable that I'm allowed to use it today, because anybody for sure put in the mikveh yesterday. We have a strong assumption that it's okay. So far so good? But if you find it on the 13th, so then the guy, maybe he didn't put in the mikveh, because maybe he says, I still have time.
I'll do it tomorrow.
I can do it later today. Today's the 13th. I need it tomorrow. So it's in the morning he found it. Maybe the guy said I could put it at 3 p.m., 2 p.m. You know that I could put it at any time in the day today in the mikveh, and at 5 p.m. it's good to go. I could put it at 4:45. I could put it at 4:49, at 4:59. So long as I put it 1 minute before it's at the Kovim, it's good. So if I'm there in the morning, maybe the guy has things to do. Maybe he didn't put it. So if you find the knife on the 14th, you're good to go. Because for sure you made a kosher. But if you find the 13th, you can be unsure. Did he put it or he didn't put it? So maybe he put it, maybe he didn't put it. So you got to put it back in the mikveh if you want to use it the next day. That's for a regular knife. Okay? There's another type of knife which is called kupitz. Kupitz is a knife that you could use to shecht, but usually it was strong and used to break the bones with it. Break the bone, get out the one. So the kupitz, if you find it, ben bazeh shulem madbin. You got to put it back in the mikveh. Even if you find it on the 14th. It was usually used for breaking the bones, but it could be used for shechting. So now, what are you going to use if you find it on the 14th? Do you need to put it in the mikveh? You need to. If it's a regular knife, you don't need to. If it's the kupitz, you need to put it in. The Gemara says, "Umat bin mani." Who's saying this? Ini marabanan ma'ishna sakin demat bin dechazia lepesach. Kupitz nami hachazia dechagiga. Okay, why would I need the knife? I'm assuming it's already gone to the mikveh, because anybody bring it here, for sure he had in mind to check the korban pesach, so he put it in the mikveh. But the kupitz, according to Chachamim, you're allowed to use it on the 14th because you're allowed to break the bones. So this Mishnah can't be Chachamim, because Chachamim should have said the guy has two things: one for the shechting, one for breaking the bones. You're allowed to break the bones on the chagiga, so you put it in the mikveh. So there should be no question. Ella lav de ben teimahu. This must be ben teima. The only one that could be saying this is ben teima. And here we see that there is also a problem with shvirat ha'etzem, because ben teima is telling you that the guy can't use it on the 14th when you find the kupitz. What's the halakha? Did the guy put it in yesterday? No, he didn't put it in, because he doesn't need to use it today. Today's the 14th of Nisan. I'm here in the Beit Mikdash. I found the kupitz. Can I use this kupitz to shech something or do something? No, you can't. Why? Because the guy didn't put it in the mikveh. Why didn't he put it in the mikveh? Because it's not usable today. He didn't put it yesterday. He's probably waiting till tomorrow. Why is he waiting till tomorrow? Because he can't do anything with it today. Because you can't break the bones of any animals today. For sure you can't break the korban pesach. But what about the extra chagiga? Can you break it? You can't break it. So therefore, we see from Beitem over here that you cannot break the bones of the korban pesach. Everybody got that? Of the chagiga chazak. Can't break it. Guys got it? The Gemara says no. No, not true. Le'olam Rabbanan. I can tell you that's the rabbis. Ukigon sheba b'Shabbat. We're talking about here at Shabbos. That the 14th of Nisan is Shabbos. And there is no chagiga to bring. Because we said the Chagigat doesn't put on Shabbos. So you know why he didn't put his kopitz in the mikveh the day before? Because it's not usable because it's Shabbos. The Gemara doesn't accept that. You know why? The same Braita says later, Chal arba'asar liot b'Shabbat. If the 14th is on Shabbos, shochet ba miyad, u'b'chamishasar shochet ba miyad. So on the 14th, if the 14th is Shabbos, you can actually use the kupitz, the shecht. Because the guy put the kupitz in the mikveh. And the 15th, he can use it as well. You know why? Because let's say really it was Shabbos. And I have a kupitz. Well, I need the kupitz for the 15th. Even according to Chachamim. You know, even according to Chachamim, I need the kupitz on the 15th? Because even though I didn't bring the Chagigah on the 14th, I'm going to bring things on the 15th. And I'm not going to wait till the 15th to put in the mikveh, because if I put in the 15th, which is on Sunday, in the mikveh, it's not going to be ready till Monday. So even though I'm going to need something on Sunday, I'll put it in the mikveh on Friday. Because if I can't put it on Shabbos in the mikveh, and I'm not going to put it on Sunday in the mikveh, so even according to Chachamim, I will put it in the mikveh before. Nimtzat kupitz keshura, another halacha, nisakin, arehi kesakin. And if, by the way, another halacha is if I find them connected together, so whatever I did, if they're attached together, so for sure that I can use them on the 14th and the regular 14th, because if I put the regular knife in the mikveh, for sure I put the kupitz in the mikveh. Michla dereisha la b'shabbat askinan. Ve'ela sheba b'miruba. So we'll continue this tomorrow, but really we're talking about is ba miruba. So I'll just tell you one more time we tried to prove. We wanted to ask a question for Bentema. You know what? I think we'll stop here. I'll repeat it tomorrow. Bezrat Hashem. Jazakallah.